I messed things up with the upside down pony. I mean, I was talking about this book, remember, where there's the tips on how to trick your brain into doing something creative or into meditating or a half an hour of sports or something like that. Um, and I said that the book is called Upside Down Brilliance. And that's not true because the book that I was referring to is called Drawing on the Right Side of Your Brain. So I missed things up there. And it's funny because the both books meant a lot to me when I read them and when I practiced them. And I told you a bit about the Drawing on the Right Side of Your Brain book, but then the Upside Down Brilliance is a brilliant book as well. And when I first read that book, when I first found that book, um, I recognized so many things, and it explains so many things that I have and that I do, and that it's about visual spatial thinking. And that is opposite to linear analytical thinking, I believe. It is the word. I'm not totally sure about that. I know it's visual spatial, and it's about a different way of thinking. And almost everything in our educational system and in our working system is based upon this linear analytical thinking. And it's where you derive everything or when you go back to the smallest elements and then build it back up. So when you, for instance, in school learn how to read, you bring it down to the letter, and from the letter you build it back up to words and sentences and books and stuff. But for a visual spatial thinker who thinks in images and in movies, it's really difficult to break it down to the smallest part, because if you start with the letters, a lot of the letters don't have much distinction between one another. And what I mean is, when you see a letter as a visual spatial thinker, you see it in your head and you can um, turn it upside down or backwards, or you can hop around it and you can see it from all different angles. And that's okay with an A, because an A stays an A more or less. But when you take a B, for instance, and compare it, and the B, and when you flip it, it becomes a P. And when you turn it around, it becomes a D. And when you flip it again, it's a Q. So that is really difficult to make the distinction between this one letter that is placed in different positions. So and there are a lot of things that I could explain after I read the book, and one of the things is, I think you heard the saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that can do funny things with you, because pictures are going faster. You can see a whole picture at once, whereas when you have to describe the picture, it takes a certain amount of time. But it also means that when you see the picture, you have to translate it into words when you want to tell someone about it. And that's why sometimes people tell things really chaotically, because it's a picture and you have to put it in words. Whereas if you see a text, you can just read it or say it. So that's the difference. And then one of the things that my children still tease me about is, it's a couple of years ago, and we were on our way to a small village on the border of a beautiful lake in Italy. And we were riding towards it, and the children were half asleep in the car and on the back seat. And I saw a field with sunflowers, and I thought it was beautiful. The sunflowers were wide open, turned to the sun. It was a spectacle. And so I wanted to point their attention to it. But um, when I wanted to do that, my thoughts just quickly made some um, hopped to other things, because it reminded me of a field in the south of France, nearby where we rented a holiday home for several years. And the last year we were there was a new owner on another property, and they had horses or ponies, and each time we drove up this little road, it was slightly uphill, and it was to go to the our rental home, and each time we drove up there, the horses were out of their fields. They broke free and they were just on the road and stuff. So uh, that was the image that I saw. That was the movie that I saw in my head. So instead of saying to my daughters like, look, there's a field filled with beautiful sunflowers, I said, look, there's a field full of horses. And they looked at the horses that were sunflowers, of course. So they still make fun of me with that sentence. So, but it's because you have to, the images go so much faster than you can speak. So it's sometimes difficult to keep focus on what you are saying whilst seeing the movie in your head. So and I think that is what happened in when I talked about the upside down pony, because I thought there's oh right, there's the right side of the brain, drawing with the right side of your brain, the title of the book, and then the other book was Upside Down Brilliance, and it was about an upside down pony. So that's why I probably mixed the book titles up. But anyway, it's it was a good reminder of the Upside Down Brilliance book, and for me, it was the beginning of analyzing why some things are different for me than for other people, and why I look at things differently. And since I read that book, I've helped a lot of people realizing that no, they're not stupid. No, they're not. They don't have a brain damage or something, or uh, they're not ignorant, or they're not too chaotic. It's just because a different way of thinking. And I think that is a really important message, that um, just analyze or look up what is happening with you, because it can explain a lot of things, and it can explain why you feel different, but you're not different and you're not alone, and whoever you are, you're you, and there's only one person that can be you, and that is you. And so it's really important to just be yourself and enjoy your life. Heb ik iets opgenomen?